as we catch up with Simon Hill to talk the World Game. A very good morning, Simon.
Morning, guys. Merry Christmas to you.
Very Merry Christmas to you as well. Look, why don't we do it a bit differently today and start off with reviewing the A-League over the weekend. Obviously, no EPL, a big round coming up. We'll get all your tips for the EPL going forward. But let's start off with the A-League. And can we just go back to Friday night, and it continues the tale of woe for Perth Glory 0, Macarthur 3.
Yeah, not particularly great Christmas for Perth after, obviously, the first win of the season against Brisbane sort of promised better things ahead. But the old familiar failings were back, unfortunately, on Friday. Far too easy to score against. That's 27 goals now conceded in 10 matches. They've got problems at the other end as well. Only one goal in 4 games in the back of the onion bag. David Strilic calling it a lack of mentality in his post-game press conference. David Williams injured as well, which doesn't look too good. It's been a pretty horrific start to the season for Perth. Their home form now reads played 5, lost 5. And if you go back to the latter end of last season, they've now lost 7 consecutive home games at HBF Park, which equals an A-League record set by the New Zealand Knights back in season 1 of the competition, 05-06. And that tells you really just how bad things have become for Glory, particularly at home. They're trying to take steps. Players are starting to be moved on. Obviously, Luis Kanga, Christian Caicedo went out the exit door within the last couple of weeks. And last night it was announced that Mustafa Amini has also gone as well. His contract cancelled by mutual consent, although I'm not sure whether it's too mutual. The club say they won't make any further comment. So it's tough, and they've got a home game to come against Western United, on the 3rd of January. Then trips to Sydney and Auckland, which look very difficult in their current state. So, yeah, I can't offer too many grounds for optimism, to be honest, at the moment. The only good thing is for Glory is that at least at this present time, they're not the worst team in the league, but that's not saying much.
Good morning, Simon. Compliments of the season. Western Sydney, the underdogs over Adelaide United. Good win. Auckland keep doing what they're doing. And Sydney FC finally found the back of the young end bag.
Yeah, let's start with the Adelaide Wanderers game. 3-2 for the Wanderers. A terrific comeback, this one. Adelaide buoyed on by a 13,000-plus crowd. They did say it was a sellout, so maybe 1 or 2 people didn't turn up. But great crowd nonetheless, and they were 2-0 up thanks to Ethan Allegich, his first for the club, another for Archie Goodwin, which is his 5th of the season. But a terrific comeback by the Wanderers. Marcus Antonsen in first half stoppage time, and then Brandon Borello and Bojidar Kraev with a late winner, taking the Wanderers into the top 6. Adelaide missing the chance to go top. It's the second time in a week that they've let slip a 2-goal lead. They did the same against Sydney last week as well, so that'll be frustrating for Carl Beard. And Auckland, as a result of that, extend their lead at the top. 4 points now, a comfortable win over the Mariners by 4-1. And again, some interesting comments from a coach post-game, Mark Jackson, accusing his side, the Mariners that is, of being unprofessional, saying 1 or 2 had returned late back to training after the Christmas break, which doesn't augur well. It's not often you see a coach saying that in public. And the Big Blue, Sydney against Melbourne Victory, 20,000 there last night at Allianz Stadium. Terrific atmosphere. Unfortunately, the game, in my opinion, rather spoiled by a red card for Zinedine Mashasha. Victory after just 15 minutes. Sydney were in front by then already. Joe Lolly scoring after 87 seconds. But it spoiled the contest. I thought the sending off was harsh. I think a yellow would have sufficed. But this is the era of VAR. And unfortunately for Victory, he had to go. And that made it very tough for them. Lolly got a second. Jaden Kaczarski with the late icing on the cake, if you like, 3-0. And one other game yesterday, Wellington Phoenix beating Newcastle by 2-1, including Costa Barbarouses with his 99th goal in the competition.
Okay, one game today gets underway, 2 p.m. our time. Western United playing Brisbane Roar. They're $1.78 United, $4.20 the draw, $3.60 Roar.
Yeah, I think that's fair, to be honest. Brisbane are as I've already mentioned, along with Perth, probably the worst team in the competition at the moment. They're the only side yet to win a game this season, having lost to Perth at home last season. Western have won their last two. They're in good form. Those away wins to Sydney and Auckland, again, not easy places to go. I don't think Brisbane are going to be able to handle the likes of Noah Botic and Abel Wallity, particularly with the fact that Ben Warland's been ruled out for the season with an ACL, so a change at the back required. I think that's a Western United home win, so not a lot of value in that, I'm afraid, for punters.
No, but we'll lock that one in at $1.78. Let's rattle through EPL. Big game, big Sunday fixtures today. Leicester City play Man City. Can you get this season back on track? They're $9.50, $5.80. Man City are $1.29.
Well, the bookies seem to have faith in us every week, but the pressure is starting to mount. To be honest, I mean, one win in 13. They should have beaten Everton, missed a penalty. Injuries mounting. Nathan Ake-Bailey able to walk after playing against Everton. They had 8 players out in that 1-1 draw City. The transfer window opening soon. I would expect Pep Guardiola to go out and buy 3, maybe 4 players. Leicester not in much better shape. They're in the bottom 3, only 1 win in their last 6. I can't say, though, that I'm confident at the moment. Let's put it down as a draw.
Right.
That offers some value at the very least.
Let's have a look at the other games. Everton, Notts, Forest, Crystal Palace, Southampton. Dare I say it? Do I mention the war? Tottenham versus Wolves and Fulham and Bournemouth.
Let's start with Everton, Nottingham Forest. Forest having a great season, one of the form teams. They've won 5 of the last 6 in the top 4 at Christmas for the first time since 1987-88. But this is a tough fixture for them. Everton unbeaten in 6. 4 of those 6 have ended in draws, including against Arsenal, Chelsea and Manchester City, which again shows to their competitiveness that they're hard to score against. Forest's counter-attacking style might work at Goodison. I would have that down as a banker draw.
Banker draw.
Crystal Palace, banker draw. Crystal Palace, Southampton. Saints look doomed, in all honesty. Only 6 points, 1 win all season. Even though the new manager, Ivan Juric, has tightened them up a bit defensively. They can't score, though. They've hit the back of the net only 11 times this season. Only 2 teams have had as few points in the Premier League in the competition's history at Christmas, and both went down. So I think this is going to be a Palace home win, even though Palace themselves aren't in particularly great shape, just 3 points above the bottom 3. The game of the round, actually, in terms of entertainment, might be Fulham against Bournemouth. Both teams unbeaten in 6, free scoring at the moment, particularly Bournemouth. Semenyo and Evan Nilsson have given them a real goal threat. And Fulham come into this one on the back of a 2-1 derby win away to Chelsea, which I don't think anybody saw coming, thanks to a late Rodrigo Muniz goal. So that could be a high-scoring game. Again, I might be tempted to go for the draw in that one.
What about over 2.5 goals at $1.68?
Yep, I'd be going with that, to be honest. I think there's goals in that one. Definitely a high-scoring draw. And the Tottenham Wolves game, goodness me. I mean, if Ange loses this one,
wow,
I've got a sense he might be in a big spot of bother. This is a massive game. Wolves down at the bottom, but they've just beaten Manchester United at home, and they've won the last 3 meetings against Tottenham. And more bad news for Ange is that they've got more defensive issues. Jed Spence is suspended because he got the red card in their last game, which was the 1-0 loss to Nottingham Forest. And Radu Dragusin is also very doubtful with an ankle injury. They've got a lot of injuries, Tottenham. This is massive for Ange Postecoglou. He's got to win this match.
Can they win it?
Yes, they can. And to be honest, I'd be tempted to tip them, but without confidence.
Yeah,
because it's just the sort of game that they will lose.
They can lose.
That's Tottenham.
Yep.
If they were playing Man City or Liverpool, I'd say, you know what, you're probably worth a few dollars on Tottenham. But this is the sort of game that they stumble on for whatever reason. But, yeah, go on. I'll go with Spurs.
Go with Spurs, $1.64. And then we'll just round it out, the later game, West Ham, Liverpool at home. The Hammers $8.50, $5.40 the draw. And the all-conquering Liverpool, $1.34. Do they get this done away?
Yeah, look, I think so. Obviously, they're going very smoothly at the moment. West Ham won only 1 of the last 16 meetings. They've got injury problems as well. Goalkeeper Lucas Fabianski injured against Southampton, which they did win their last game. Max Kilman, Carlos Soler also got injury problems. They've won only 3 of 9 home games this season. Liverpool just have too much firepower for them at the moment. Opta's got Liverpool at 88% to win the championship. And to be honest, it's hard to disagree. I think they'll win Liverpool.
Just a quick one. Talking to a Leeds United mate of mine on Friday. I think we're having a couple of pints and a bit of a chat about it all. And you look at this ladder. Okay, Liverpool, Arsenal, Chelsea. Yeah, you can get that. Then the next 3, Notts Forest, Newcastle United and Bournemouth. It's a pretty different looking ladder, isn't it, Simon?
It is. And to be honest, in many ways, that's great, even though
that's
it's my
great,
team that's suffering at the moment,
Yep.
Which doesn't please me. But it's great to see teams like Forest and, even Bournemouth. I mean, Bournemouth are the smallest club in the top flight. They've got a home ground that holds only 11,000 people. Fantastically run club. Really smart signings, a very savvy coach in Anthony Iraola. And they deserve where they are in the table at the moment. So good luck to them. I hope they don't finish there, obviously. They're more Forest because I want City to be in the top 4. But and there's still 20 games to go. But, it makes for a more interesting Premier League ladder, that's for sure.
Okay, Simon, all the best for 2025. And we'll talk to you then next week.
You too, guys. You too. Happy New Year to everyone.
There is Simon Hill, as he does every Sunday morning, opening up the batting in the aftermath. Okay, Bradley, we've written all those down. We'll work out a multi from those tips. Morning, gents. Any news on Perth Cup? Day shifting race times to accommodate the expected 38 degrees on Wednesday. That is from Slammer. So we'll have a little chat about that to a few people behind the scenes and see what the thought pattern is at this stage.
Well, it worked well the other day. I mean, not to do it on a regular basis, but it did work well starting early the other day, didn't it? Sort of was a 9 a.m. start. Poor old Darren was still wiping the sleet out of his eyes. But the bottom line was that, it seemed to work well. So maybe precautionary, 38 degrees. That's pretty hot. Pretty hot, Marty.
Oh, it's getting hot. Yeah, it's not up in the time frame zone of 46 way back then, but you're not allowed to, you can't be racing then. Let's have a look at the betting on Tab Touch. The Perth Cup 2025. Gee, she's wide open, Brad. Sydney Head's job this. We have got Diamond Scene, In Good Order, and Sentimental Hero, all $6. From the top, Casino 17.11, Young Verta 7, Let's Gallivant 9, Sox Nation 14, Serpentine 7, Diamond Scene 6, Be Optimistic 34, Curramundi 41, Demolish 23, Flower in the Wind is 71, Hemlock Stone 26, In Good Order 6, Iowa 41, Playhouse Patron 41, and Sentimental Hero at $6. That is our Perth Cup field on Tab Touch at this stage.
I love my novelties. That's the way I'll be rolling, I think. God almighty, that's a really wide market, isn't it? So, I tell you what, the one that did sort of grab me ear a little bit there was, where was it? Serpentine. He's as tough as old boots.
Yes,
old boots. So.
And you would think at 38 degrees, normally suits horses up on the speed. That's where he's going to be. Yeah. So you've got to say that those horses over east, normally in the staying ranks, have got it over our horses over here. So Young Verta, Serpentine, new horses on the scene come across. So it'll be interesting to get some updates. We'll be talking to Stevie Parnham too during Racing Rewind. Look, Brad, we've got to take an early break. We want to get hold of Nash Rawiller. He needs a couple of minutes, so we'll take a break.
Nash, it's Chris.
Oh, it's Chris Nelson.
Chris. I thought, hang on a minute, guys, that's a bit of a... That is one hell of a pump up for Simple Tipster, that's for sure.
Oh, gee. It's live radio. What can you do?
Anyway, I certainly didn't ride 4 winners yesterday either.
How did you go making the weight yesterday, Chris, after Christmas?
Yeah, I was going to say, I actually got on the scales this morning. I think I'm struggling.
Well, in all seriousness, it was a terrific day's racing up at Eagle Farm. It promised to be. Gee, the track was lightning quick, wasn't it? Wow.
Yeah, it was. We didn't have any rain at all during the week. And, that was a soft 5 yesterday morning because they put water on it the day before. They couldn't put any more water on it.
Yep.
And by the time we got to the first, it was good. There was going to be a good 3. So they were running better than average times all day. So, yeah, lightning fast. Some handle it, some don't.
Well,
Chris, we thought we had an early winner there. We thought we had an early winner in race 2 with Blitzberg, but, geez, very impressive Space Rider. I know it trialled up really well, but it gave them no hope.
Well, yeah, look, the tempo was there to suit. Space Rider was able to lead, and then there was no speed and there was no pressure. So I thought the horse was entitled to win, but maybe the margin made it look quite impressive. Whether it was overly impressive, we'll have to wait and see. But as I said, well suited in front, cost $500,000.
Yep.
Did everything that had to do on debut. So I thought Grafter Burners was very good because, as I said, making ground in that race was near on impossible with the tempo. And Grafter Burners was the only one that really made ground and ran past your horse, Brad, Blitzberg.
Yeah.
Late, so I'll be keeping my eye on Grafter Burners. I was quite keen on that off the win at Ipswich. So, yeah, happy to follow. Space Rider, yep, won, should have won. Lockyer over Racetrack was too firm. And Derivative, while the other first starter, well, it reared at the start, sweated up badly, fractures in the gates, and pulled up with mild heat stress. So fair to say we forgive Derivative on debut.
Okay, so Space Rider going forward to the Magic Millions, 2-year-old?
Yes, definitely. Yep, definitely goes in. So interesting to see. I wouldn't be running again, so we'll see him in 2 weeks' time.
Third event, the cutest for the 3-year-olds. It was Bo Dazzler carrying the 60 kilos, gave the second horse 8 kilos and a hiding.
Yeah, and that was the impressive part of this win. I thought Sun Worshipper might be able to turn the tables on Bo Dazzler, but especially with that 8 kilo weight advantage. But he was too good again. He just loves Eagle Farm. He's a horse with better form than the rest of these. There's no doubt about that. He just went off the boil a little bit, but he's come back to his best now. And look, the weight isn't everything all the time, and we saw that yesterday. He just was too classy for his rivals, Bo Dazzler. I thought Wow Zeno, who ended up running third, did a good job because that horse set the speed all the way and was sort of in front by 3 or 4, then came back to them, then tried to pinch it again. So not a bad effort, not a high-class race. The first 2 going forward, particularly the winner, are the ones to follow out of it in the future.
Down to race 6, the Nudgee Stakes. Geez, this horse is building an impressive record. And at a price too yesterday, Bubba's Way. It's got the will to win, this horse.
Yeah, she does. She's an absolute ripper, this mare, and she worked a little bit early, then she got up on speed outside Black on Beauty, and they were coming from everywhere. Now, this is an interesting race. Going forward, what do we do with the form? There was 0.98 lengths between the first 5, 1.92 between the first 10, and from first to last, and we're talking 15 horses, there was only 2.94 lengths officially. So they were in a big bunch at the winning post there. Now, Midnight in Tokyo ran second, was better. Shalars Moment was good. Now, there was a couple of hard luck stories. Yep. Dare I say, Cigar Flick again was a train wreck. It's wearing a bit thin, the old Cigar Flick, the mare. And the other one there, Marty, that ran last, Appen Girl. She never, ever got a crack at them. You look at the replay, she was under a hole the entire straight, and she ran last beaten 2.94. We'll follow her.
Okay, race 7 was the Vorogue Plate over the 1,300 metres, and what a win this was. Only horse of the day to do this from an impossible position. Luke Dempsey, Barry Lockwood trained Give Me Space at about 20-1. What about the win?
It was huge, absolutely huge. I went back and had a look at the replay this morning. Clear last and a mile back on the turn. Clear last at the 300-metre mark. Has made probably 6 lengths up in the last 150 or so. It was just a massive win from Give Me Space. So off he goes to the Magic Millions 3-year-old in 2 weeks. And he'll get an extra 100 metres, which will suit him. Street Chase had it won for all money until Give Me Space appeared out of nowhere. Hella Fast did a good job. Bazusto, I know all the West Australians will love Bazusto. I thought he closed off nicely. That last 100 metres or so, he was good, and he was first up for 8 weeks. So he'll be going okay, tracking into that Magic Millions 3-year-old in a couple of weeks' time. Raikkonen was the hard luck story. Ran last, beaten 9 lengths, almost lost Chad Schofield at the start, and then they had a laceration post-race. So spell time for Raikkonen. We won't be seeing him again shortly, but yeah, Give Me Space and Bazusto, the 2 to follow out of that.
Okay, that winner is $12 for the 3-year-old guineas on Magic Millions Day, Brad.
Yeah, well, we're hurting here. We're going to race 8, the buffering. Marty and I back Transatlantic 2 starts ago, and it had the thumps, and so did we.
So did we.
No thumps for it yesterday, but the disappointing thing is the old fella, the old champ Rothweiler, is, just not the same horse, unfortunately. Felt its legs yesterday?
Yeah, definitely the case. And look, as we've mentioned many times in many previews, that Rothweiler was absolutely beautifully placed yesterday under the conditions of the race. And he led. They didn't go overly hard in front. It was more of a dash home, not a complete dash home, but the tempo was stronger the last 600 or so than the first 800. So he had his chance up on speed. He's not the horse he was. So what we do with him going forward, not sure what Rob Heathcote will do. Transatlantic, we mentioned last week, he ran the best time figure of the entire meeting, winning that race at Eagle Farm, and he did it again yesterday.
Yep.
So he loves that track. He loves the surface. Tony Gollan's got one of his, he's got a horse now for the Stradbroke he can work with. He was very good. So, and he's better suited for mine over 1,600 metres. So he's doing his job with him. All honours with the winner. Sofrado was game. Robusto was game. Rothweiler we've spoken about. So, Transatlantic, whether he has another run, not sure, or whether they put him away.
Okay, race number 9 was a shootout, 2,100 metres. They ran a record, I don't know if it was track or race, 2:07.76, about 4.5 seconds quicker than the 3-year-olds went around in. Belvedere Boys, brilliantly ridden by Damien Thornton, won, but gee, the eye catcher, Queen Air, what a performance her.
Yeah. Your mare, Marty, Queen Air, you and Shorty's mare, she ran really well. Look, she was too far back. That was the problem. 300-metre mark, she started to make some ground, and then she weaved home and then made good ground on Belvedere Boys, but he had too big a break. Now, she was 1,600 up to 2,100, so she was very good. And she'll head towards the Magic Millions Day as well, and that's been the target all along. So should she get a start there, which I think she will, she's going to be very hard to beat. And if it rains, she'll probably, she handles any ground now. It doesn't really matter. Belvedere Boys was good. He's really turned the corner now since he stepped up in distance. And look, take nothing away from him. He can handle any sort of ground as well. Kerchak and Little Mix both raced wide. You can give those two, but definitely the first two across the line worth following.
He's got a real quick sprint, that Belvedere Boys, hasn't he? Like, it was if you go back and have a look at the ride, it was a brilliant ride by Thornton. He was able to extricate, get him into the clear, and then go for home as quick as he could. And that won him the race. While all that was happening, Queen Air was just trying to get into the clear and then build some momentum. And terrific ride by Damien Thornton. It was. And Matty Dunn's got a nice horse here with Belvedere Boys.
It was. You did right, because I was watching him the whole way, and he just travelled beautifully. And it was always within striking distance, whereas Queen Air wasn't. And you knew he had that margin on her, and he had a lot under him on the home turn. He just needed to weave his way into the clear, and everything panned out. So, good win. He'll be hard to beat too. He's loving these extra trips. As
the great Wayne Wilson always said, barriers. One's in 13, exactly. One's in 4. Swap them, see what happens.
Chris, let's look down to Randwick. Race 1 for the babies. Promised to be a pretty good race, and I think it's going to be a good form line.
Yeah, definitely. Gallo Nero was impressive here. And I'll tell you one thing about this race. They absolutely dawdled in front.
Yep.
Sapling led OLA, and they went no tempo at all. Gallo Nero was handy enough. Apocalyptic was obviously the run of the race and should have won, and we'll go to the Magic Millions now. And last time I checked was still double figures. I don't know if that's the case now, but, it just couldn't get clear at the right time. When it did, flew home, should have won. Margin was less than half a length. Memo up on speed. Now, 3 wide, no cover, you'd normally say probably a forgivable effort, but they went so slowly, it probably wasn't. So I don't know about Memo going forward to the Magic Millions. I probably couldn't have him on that. But, yes, Apocalyptic, definite black booker.
Okay, Regan Bayliss, 11 days for the ride, suspension, and Apocalyptic is a $9 chance for the 2-year-old classic with Acarian Dream 480, Gallo Nero 650, Space Rider 750, Memo is 8, Invincible Woman 850, Apocalyptic is 9, and then you go to the Playwright at 15. What about race number 6 at Randwick?
Isn't He won again. I just thought I'd mention this. Yeah, flying, this horse. Just got to the outside and just rounded them up, raced away. Invader Zim, I think he's one we can follow a little going forward. He was having his first run back, so he'll improve. A couple of excuses there. Well, one, Eye of the Fire raced without cover. The plan was to settle 1-1, but he began so well they ended up outside the lead. They didn't want to be there, so you can forgive him on that. And Shangri-La Express, actually, I can't forgive him. He had every possible chance in front. Tempo was there to suit and just offered nothing in the straight. He's not the same horse he was as a 2-year-old, is he?
No, unfortunately. Oh, the winner of the day it had to be race 7, High Blue Sea.
Oh, here we go.
Outstanding performance.
You know, Brad, I mentioned this horse a couple of weeks ago. When it last ran, it was first up, I think, from memory, and said just poking through late was a nice run. I think it was the last race of the day or near enough to it. Thought there's one to follow. But I can tell you, I've been burned with this horse so many times. I was just a little bit wary, and there he was. And, of course, I was on Bunker Hut, and what happens? He looks home and hosed. Once again, runs his 7th straight placing. And what's mowing me down? You and High Blue Sea. So well done to everyone. It was a good win. If he could just stay consistent, I wouldn't mind. But, no, all honours. And that was the quickest race of the day. They ran some funny old races at Randwick yesterday. 6 sprints, and then they went really hard in others. But overall, this race rated quite well time-wise. August Bloom was heavily backed. They wanted to ride her closer. She didn't jump well. She settled back. The tempo was there to run on, but she didn't. So she's a bit of a disappointment.
Okay, we've got Nash Rawiller ready to go. So give us a winner today at the Sunshine Coast if you got one.
I got a 3.
Okay.
Value. Race 2, number 8, Rocky Reward, each way. And the 2 winners. Race 3, number 3, Brutal Sue. And the Good Thing, race 6, number 2, About to Explode.
Beautifully done, Chris. Thanks for that, and we'll listen in on Wednesday.
Good on you guys. Have a good day.
Thanks, Chris.
And last of all is Star Man around the turn. Midnight Opal in front. From Liberty State moving up to Eyebullet now. Then came Bunker Hut followed by Snowman. How dare you? High Blue Sea strung up. August Bloom getting to the outside together with Star Man. Bunker Hut moved up now at the 200 and Bunker Hut races to the lead. High Blue Sea's out of a pocket and starting to savage the line. Bunker Hut and High Blue Sea will fight it out. High Blue Sea with the revs built up and High Blue Sea went home best. Beat Bunker Hut, another placing.
Yeah, one of 4 winners yesterday for Nash Rawiller, who joins us right now. Very good morning, Nash.
Good morning. How are you?
Yeah, good. Marty Young here in Perth, and Brad Hardie's over there in Melbourne, a very happy man.
Oh, very happy man,
very good.
Nash. Congratulations, mate. Outstanding performance by you yesterday, particularly High Blue Sea. But let's have a look at the first winner, John Thompson. I always have a little chuckle, Nash, because he reminds me of Uncle Fester. But I know you have a lot of conversations with trainers. But when he speaks, I listen. He's a beauty.
Yeah, he's real old school, isn't he? He's sort of, his dad was a champion trainer, and he actually spent many years with Bart Cummings. Just a very talented horseman who I've had a lot of success for over the years.
Well, this winner, Emma Dalla, Eric looked to be going beautifully, didn't it? Then they came up for air, and did she just get a little bit further back, or you were very happy where you were in the complete run? Because once you got it to the outside, it was all over.
Yeah, no, I think if you watched closely, you would have been pretty confident the whole way. Yeah, like I sort of, the horse jumped really well. I just had to sort of make a decision there in the first 100 from a very wide draw. And when that pace sort of come on, which we probably weren't certain we would get, I was more than happy to sort of just back her ability and a finish and sort of ride it quiet there and just sort of find her feet. And she sort of had me slightly concerned there about the half mile. She just got a little bit keen in those blinkers, back on. And thankfully she settled back into a lovely rhythm. And she's got an exciting turn of foot. Like the way she put them away. I know it wasn't a great field, but she can go on to bigger and better things.
Okay. Put that in the black book, Bradley. Emma Dalla, bigger and better things.
Yeah, my word.
Yep.
Well, Nash, you made it a race-to-race double for Chris Waller in the next race because Unstoppable, I thought you rode it terrific. It was a good four, but people wanted to get away from the fence. You went up there and again, like High Blue Sea, you seemed to just wait till the 200 before you pushed the button.
Look, I love riding Randwick. It's a different kettle of fish than sort of anywhere. Even Rose Hill, although it's got the same sort of type of running, it just hasn't got that change of complexion that Randwick has over the last 100 metres, and that's sort of due to probably the rise and things like that you sort of got to take into account there at the top of the straight. It takes a lot out of horses, and if you let them rip there before you straighten, it's very difficult for them to hold that type of finish right for the line. And I just feel you always get your chance over the last 100 if you're that little bit patient, and it really works for me.
So tell us about this horse as well. It did carry 6.5 kilos more than the second runner. Is there'd be more wins in store, surely?
Yeah, I think so. Chris is amazing how he just sort of almost plays with these young type of horses, early days to just get in their mind and work them out and give them that time and sort of the grounding and, they get to their 4 years of age or whatever and just really everything clicks and they go to the next level. And he could be sort of one of those type horses in that mould where he spent the first part of his career sort of learning his craft and, now he's ready to go on with his... He sort of gives you the feel that he could be a really nice sort of 7 furlong horse in time,
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic. Marty, did I tell you that I was pretty happy with the winner of race 7 and race 8, to be honest? But High Blue Sea, Nash, I mean, you did a great job with him. I know Darren Flindell said he's strung up, but he's not a quirky horse, but when he lets rip, he can let rip. If he goes too early, as you say, if you go a little bit early at Randwick, it's not the way to be, but you just timed it perfectly yesterday. Yeah,
well, look, we're following the right horse. I had a horse race up to my outside there before straightening, Dare to You, I think it was, and sort of could have flushed me out, but I was confident that I was sort of had the right horses in front of me, Bunker Hut being the main one, and it's been known to sort of just struggle to win. Its last 50 is always its worst part of its race, so I was happy to track it through as long as I could, and he was good. Look, he was first time of the trip there, 1400 this preparation, so there was no rush to try and win the race, and that last 100 he really took control of the race, didn't he? It was good.
Then you were out to win with Saltcoats, another Waller horse, and I guess we'll refer back to your previous comments because it's 11 starts, 3 wins. It's a lightly raced 4-year-old and probably plenty more wins in store for this fella as well.
Yeah, and that's exactly right. He more so is in the exact same mould that I'm talking about with Chris and his team, what they sort of do with just, teaching him a racing pattern and doing everything right, because he has been a bit of a handful as a young horse, but now he's sort of putting it all together, and he's sort of really ready to go on with now. I think he's still got physically a little bit more maturing left. I don't know whether that's possible at 4, but he just gives you that feel that physically he's still not quite there. So if he can sort of have a spell and not saying right at the moment, he's definitely got another win in this prep, but you can just see him with a spell really blossoming and coming back to finished product.
We're speaking with champion jock Nash Rawiller, who scored 4 brilliant victories yesterday. Nash, before we let you go, I mean, obviously now all eyes turn towards the Magic Millions Carnival in the next couple of weeks. Have you got any firm engagements up there?
I have. I've got some really nice rides to look forward to for Matty Dunn, and I've been booked for a horse, I believe, in a 3-year-old race for the Hayes team. I couldn't tell you exactly what that is at the moment, sorry. But, I've got a nice sort of book of rides for, sort of coming together. And, it's just a meeting where, you look forward to every year. It's, the big prize money. And it's a really, not just for owners and trainers, it's, for jockeys as well, it's just a really important meeting now on the calendar.
Yep. And Nash, you did mention that you love riding at Randwick. What about that tricky Gold Coast track? How do you go there?
Well, it is a tricky track. It's I always seem to have a bit of success up there, but it is one of those tracks where you just sort of trying to stay trouble free is the main thing. There's often little things that bring you undone, even if you're on a nice horse, So it's just getting that right smooth running transit, and I think they still get their chance to win in the straight, although it's probably not known for that. But it's quite a testing last 300 there, once again, the cream sort of has its chance to rise to the top.
Hey, Nash, if we could just reminisce, about a month ago, we lost Elstrom, a horse that you had so many big wins with. He was one of my absolute favourites, Elstrom. 32 starts. I went through his record last night when we knew we were going to have a chat. You only joined in the party about the halfway stage of his career. It was about start 16 or something before he started to ride.
Yeah, I think he was a 4-year-old when I sort of got on him. Yeah, he was just an amazing horse, wasn't he? They're the ones that you really look out for to try and get on. But the heart that he had, in a finish and sort of over the final 100 in a race like horses like Maccabi Diva chasing you down and you're sort of finding something to beat them. You just don't come across them. They're just different level, and when you do, you end up with a horse like, all you guys who know well, a horse like Norley or something like that. They're just a different level horse,
So that was his biggest strength, was it? He's just his will to win?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, he was. Don't get me wrong. He had the breeding behind him. He had the everything. But I just think heart's something that all top sportsmen or top horses have. It's something you can't sort of get put in there at any stage. It's either there or it isn't.
Well, you've ridden a lot of champions. What's your favourite?
He's without doubt right up there, and I guess Piero and More Joyous, they're hard to split. Like when you're riding those type horses, you can't split them. It's like trying to pick your favourite kid.
Yeah. Well, he did. He took you around the world. I remember the win in the duty free in Dubai. What a brilliant win that was. And then ended up his career over in England and France, and you were riding there as well.
Yeah, stuck with him, right to the end. He gave us an amazing overseas trip, lifelong memories. And although we weren't able to win money, he just never let us down once. He sort of placed in them all, and I think even his last start he ran fourth, and that was a Group 1 level, which includes. So, yeah, something that, really sit down and look back at those days, with very fond memories and be able to tell a few stories around a fire.
That is for sure. Nash, have a great 2025. Thanks for coming on the show today.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thanks, guys.
He's a ripper, absolute ripper. Nash Rawiller. And another man who is as well as racetrackralphy.com.au. Very good morning.
Hey.
I'll take that bracket. What a great man Nash Rawiller is, particularly after High Blue Sea yesterday. Can't beat self-interest.
Oh, hang on. We're all on it bar me. That's okay.
Yeah.
No, I got the text. I did get the text.
You got the text. Yes. You got the text. Don't be starting that business.
No, I know that. You'd remember, you'd be similar to me, Ralphy. Remember the early days with Nash? He was apprentice to Tony Noonan and rode, he was a Mornington boy down in those days, wasn't he?
That's it, yeah. He's just been a remarkable success story, and I reckon he does it pretty tough with his weight too. So to be able to just continuously sustain that excellence is something else. I did a good gig with him. It was a little while back, but we played the Elves from Caulfield Cup win, and he spoke through it to the room, at different stages of the race about what he was thinking and his plans through it. I love doing those with jockeys going through big race wins alongside the screen. He's an absolute beauty.
Ralphy, good morning to you. Horses to follow. I've got the winner of the next Jericho Cup, number 6, Galileus, in race 1 at Moonee Valley.
I'll tell you what. So, good morning, Brad. I was more than happy to pad for as long as you like because, wowee, was that a city meeting yesterday or was that, did they accidentally put the Burren Beat card on? So, it was, not much. So, well done to the connections, etc. And if you back Galileus yesterday at $2.40, you've already got your first New Year's Eve resolution set. But go to the room of mirrors and have a good look at yourself.
Yeah. But the highlight of this month has been Craig Williams, hasn't it? I think did I hear 24 winners for December?
Yes, I reckon that's right. So I put out a stat on a couple of days ago. 59 rides for 18 wins and 10 placings, and that was before yesterday And did he ride a Cranbourne as well?
Yeah, he rode one there, so it'd be 23 then.
Yeah, absolutely on fire. So it's just amazing. We're just talking about Nash, and also, someone like Willow to be so motivated year round, compared to the footy sports that we all follow as well, the way they, you obviously have to have an off-season and then you get yourself prepared again, but the way these guys can just continue to show such excellence at this time of year.
And they'll go through periods, won't they, Brad and Ralphy, of where you go, gee, is he going as good as he, or is that time coming? And then all of a sudden, bang, just gets into this form. And you can almost see it in his face when he's riding. He's just so determined.
Yeah, I wouldn't back Willow in July. That's usually the time he sort of tapers off there. He sets himself to try and go as high as he can on the table, and then he'll have a little break. And at the moment, he's doing amazing stuff for Ukraine as well. But you can just tell about mid-August, and then he goes bang, and then he's away again.
Ralphie, let's rock into race 2 then, because the Busselton Young charge came out. It was well fancied, and it did not let them down.
Might be all right, this horse.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I'm trying to break down the sectionals. I reckon if 1,200, if a 2-year-old can stay in the same sort of field as the others, even though it was a plain card, as we mentioned, I think you've got to give it a fair stamp. For some reason, this stable sets race they're good 2-year-olds for this race every year.
Okay.
I don't know why, but it's that sort of 1,200 race between Boxing Day and New Year's at this Moonee Valley meeting, and this one they just smashed in the market, and he smashed them competition-wise. It's interesting to hear Blake Shit afterwards sort of say maybe more of a Guineas horse in time, but I don't know how good he's going to be, but we know he's going to be pretty good, and he certainly had too much on those yesterday.
Okay, race number 3 was Delta Sky. Jet Stanley's been in a bit of touch as well, the kid.
Yeah, well, it's a line chaser, isn't it? So, there was. I did write in my form that I said this could be chaos theory, and we did. Estrapade just took charge of the rider. Jayla Kennedy couldn't do anything, and this horse just really wanted to put in. Georgie, get mad. Don't be surprised if it wins next start with a soft lead. Okay. It's just needing that. Now it had that third up run, but we're talking basic company.
Race 4, Craig Williams, as you said, master class yesterday, just for show.
Yeah, got the bob in over Princess Queen. He was going to lead, but instead Active on Verb just flew the stalls. I suppose the story of the race was Paddy Maloney was lucky to stay on his feet on Thornburg, and even Jamie Mott was unlucky. The horse hung in, it wasn't his fault. He was stood down after that. So it was lucky it wasn't carnage. Poor form race, poor time race, though.
Well, he's out 3 wide on the favourite here, My Temptation, but he just rated beautifully, didn't he? He didn't panic.
Yeah, just let him cruise. It's much better than, trying to reef and tear and get a position. So it's just one. Enver's done a fantastic job. The next 2 races, I'll sort of bracket these because that was 3 from 3 first prep, and Fickle's deep into its prep. I'd be a bit careful of these next start. They might have had enough. They both perfect rides. I think the horses to follow, and actually from the meeting, because it's pretty tough outside of the obviously the race 2 horse, but Mighty and Miss Codaletta, they were both really sound first up, and they will win races in this similar type of summer company.
Race 7, Rosie Hammond, she idolised Michelle Payne and rode a winner, her first winner for her. Beautiful.
Yeah, absolutely. And I said after the race, I go, the 3 kilo claimer has never run a city winner. She rode like the accomplished veteran. And some of the accomplished veterans, less so. It was a messy race, bar the ones up front. Malaya Castle rated Van Roy perfectly. So they ran 1-2. The Courtney looked confetti about 800 out. And it was confetti on the line as well. So perfect ride. The others, Prince Eric, it was just planted throughout. I don't think there was a spot for Stacky, but it probably will win next start too. I probably should add that to the Black Book as Prince Eric.
Race 8, they backed this like there was no settling as well. Howling Rain for Cindy Alderson.
Yeah, and I can always bracket Howling Rain and the last winner in Apache Song, given that they both looked the obvious ones. I didn't really want to take the price, and I didn't. Happy to stay out. You can't lose money staying out. But both of those looked the proper form race going in. And then once the pace ran along here in race 8, unlike the next race, and Howling Rain was just in the zone, Caulfield Heath, Seymour, and again here yesterday. So smashed them, and it's only Benchmark 70 company can probably win again.
Oh, race number 9. It wasn't Celine Gaudreau's day. She got 16 meetings early on and just couldn't get promises kept into the free going at the right time.
Nah, and Banker's Choice, what was it, 730 days?
Yeah, of course it was. Of course it was.
I actually looked at this pre-race and this summed up the meeting. These horses that had 46 starts this prep.
Oh, yeah, I saw that.
Wins.
I saw your tweet.
No wins.
Old Homer Simpson made it in.
That's it. I reckon still all of these would beat the Melbourne Stars though at the moment. I'll give you that.
Patchy Song, the last. Blake Shin had a really, really good day, and horses to follow.
Yeah, just pretty basic horses to follow. I mean, the obvious one is the race 2 winner, Field of Play. And as I said, in that 6th race, Mighty and Miss Coddaletta were both sound first up, but a pretty tough meeting. But have a great New Year, boys, and all the best to your listeners.
Same to you, Ralphy. Thanks for that. Time of news. Cricket about to begin. Brad, any news on the Eagles, and do players get a fitness program over the break, and how strict the club's on this?
Oh, I think the Eagles will be a lot more stricter this year than they have in the past. They had Matthew Innes is into his 2nd or 3rd year now as the fitness guy down there, and I think he was blown away. And coming from the Bulldogs, finding out how far off the mark the West Coast were. Sometimes that takes 12 or 18 months, Marty, as we know. Yes, they will have a program to follow, and they won't want to come back a little bit porky-pig.
Okay, and then Lisa's gone on to thank us all for putting the shows together throughout the season. We really appreciate your input as well, Lisa there of
Lisa.
Alan Brook. Now, Snoz has weighed in as well. He's another beauty. Everyone is talking about Constas, and good luck to him, but how long will it take for other test sides to work him out? Remember, the first 6 balls he faced could have been in the shed from ball 1. That is from the Snoz man.
Oh, absolutely. And it's like anybody, any young player that comes on the scene, doesn't matter what code it is, they'll set about trying to get your demise. So, yeah, they will hone in, and I'm sure Bumrah will bowl different to him in the second innings as well.
This is going. I'm going with this one, Rusty. It's a beauty. It's a beauty. With the Test series against India in an intriguing position as to who will win the series, I have a question, and Brad, you may be able to ask your friend and highly regarded Indian cricket watcher Mahatma Coat. Brad, you know Mahatma.
Yeah, I know Mahatma.
If Rishpa Pant is related to the Pant sisters Fatima, Shapista and Krapma.
Yes, Rashad is a welcome addition to the Pant family and the Coat family. That Mahatma.
They were funny days, weren't they?
Your big
great
man.
Greg Ritchie. He was a very funny man. Okay, so now I'm just checking. I'm looking for Soph around the corner because we don't have comms. This is visual. We have got Courtney Walsh online. Thank you. I don't want to introduce Nash Rawiller or somebody like that, but it's Courtney Walsh. Very good morning, Courtney.
Good morning, gentlemen.
How are you?
Good morning. I can come into you as Australia have just bowled out India, I think. I'm at the MCG. They're just reviewing a catch, second slip. Cummins bowling the Siraj. India added about another 10 or so runs this morning. Already looked in good touch, but we're just waiting to see whether or not Australia will be batting in about 10 minutes or so.
Hasn't it taken an ebb and flow this game, Courtney? Compliments of the season to you, my friend.
Oh, yeah, compliments of the season to you, Brad. It may be a bump ball. I'm just having a look at the interesting one. Yeah, hoping you're well, Brad. Hope Christmas went well and New Year's went well.
Oh, it is.
Plenty of action here at the G. Yeah, interesting. What do you make of that? I'm just looking at the review with you two. It's an interesting one.
Yeah, looks like it could
not
well
out.
Be. Yeah. Yep, little bounce there, isn't it?
Yep, not out.
There you go. It's been an intriguing match, and I think when we spoke a couple of weeks ago, Brad, this is what we asked for, an old-fashioned style test series. And, Courtney, you were part of that conversation as well, and we've certainly got it, haven't we? We've got it here at the moment.
We have, and look, just as we're talking this, I mean...
is he going on with it now, Cummins?
Cummins is saying, well, why can't I review? With umpire's call and out.
Yeah.
If there's doubt, I guess if it's umpire, it goes to umpire's call. But as opposed, interesting scene here at the MCG. Clearly, a sign that the Aussies are very desperate to get a wicket to knock them over. Look, it is an old school, old-fashioned, proper, hard-fought test. I don't doubt that the pitch has played a part in that. It's very placid. Listening to Mike Hussey this morning, who was out in the middle, he noticed a couple of divots, but no rough at all, plenty of grass, which, unless it sort of deteriorates pretty rapidly, it suggests that this is going to go way into day 5 and, perhaps the draw is the most likely result.
So if it is a draw and then we go 1-1 to Sydney, it'll be, what we were asking for early on. There's been some big moments in this match. Obviously started off with Constance and what he did early. I thought the wicket of Rahul before tea, the final ball by Cummins, was so important in this match. Let's sort of break them down a little bit.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Look, I mean, firstly, Constance and the reaction, it seemed just absurd sort of watching it here live, and, phenomenal to sort of see. I walked past Steve Smith sitting in the pavilion at one stage when I was on the way down to try and chase down the young man's brother, Billy, and Steve looked like he'd seen a ghost as he was waiting to go out to bat, the way Constance was batting. That moment with Rahul, you're right, because Rahul has been so strong and so defiant sort of through the first 3 tests by and large. Down to number 3, look, it wasn't much of an impact because Sharma's clearly, they are out now. Reddy has fallen, lofted Nathan Lyon deep to Mitchell Stark in the outfield, so Australia have an innings lead of about 105 runs. That was a really, I think we've seen Cummins do it time and again. It was interesting in Perth, he was queried about his, being a bit down in his pace. The average sort of, marginally increased in terms of economy rate, also sort of average per wicket. But for mine, he's been right back to his best since then. He was very good in Adelaide. I thought he was really good in Brisbane. And his pace, I think, here has been very good. 137, 138. He's been pretty sharp. Going to be a lot resting on I think, Marty, because if Stark is sore, and I think we saw that yesterday, without Hazelwood, big challenge ahead to try and knock them over, probably beginning later today, and then try and knock them over twice in Sydney.
Is Hazelwood out of Sydney? He is, isn't he?
Yeah. Well, it was effectively ruled out of Sydney, so I don't think they'll take the risk with the calf with the guy who is now 34 years of age. So you're looking there at Jai Richardson, who performed so well when he actually got that chance, and a couple of years ago, and it's good to see him back in the squad. I think he would probably be the one. Brendan Doggett was sort of in the squad initially the first couple of matches, but I think if Richardson's fit, he's probably the pick, the next man in. Sean Abbott has been picked as sort of a bowling all-rounder. He was around the squad in Melbourne as well. But you would hope that, you hope that Stark's fit and firing, because I still think he's probably our best chance of success in Sydney. But if Richardson's the man, it's certainly a big chance for him in Sydney.
Courtney, no matter what the result, we're worried about our man, Mitch Marsh. It's starting to get a little bit hot in the kitchen now.
It is, and it is. Look, it's the runabouts. Look, he didn't look that bad in Perth, obviously, in that second innings when rattling off that 47, but he hasn't really looked like it since. The way he got out here, well, it's the way he made a lot of runs over the last couple of years when he was in form. Chance in the arm, being back to play like that, and you're going to hit that period where you're not making runs, and he's clearly in that at the moment. But the problem is he's just not bowling enough. There's no way to camouflage that. A couple of overs in Adelaide, 4 overs in Brisbane. He bowled about 7 or so here yesterday at a time when we knew that Stark was not right. He looked like, he was unlucky on a couple of occasions when he was bowling, by the way. He was certainly, a couple that only just missed or umpires called that went the wrong way. But just got to be bowling more if you're not contributing with the bat. So that's a concern, I think. Particularly when the next man has been making runs and has been taking wickets.
Webster?
Yeah. The Shield Player of the Year last year. We know that doesn't necessarily mean everything in terms of, Cameron Bancroft obviously missing out for a couple of seasons making all those runs. But he is in form, and he's continued to be in form, Webster. And he is around that Australian A team. I think he was half thinking that he might have played here. He did make the point that Marsh, when he's firing, he's obviously an outstanding player when firing, but he's not in form. So it's going to make for an interesting sort of, I think, second innings with the bat today for Mitch. And then with the ball, particularly if Stark's a little sore, the next 2 days could be really critical in his career at the test level.
Just going back to the important moments in this test, I thought the other most important moment was with the run out of Jaiswal for 82 and Coley not running, or, there's a lot of conversation about, well, he shouldn't have or whatever, but to my mind he should have, and he probably makes it if he does. And the whole thing turns around, and then to get out the very next ball he faces. I had a good chat to David Short about it yesterday off air, and we both agreed that it was a major turning point for India.
Look, I don't doubt. I think if that moment doesn't happen, India are still batting and may well be par with Australia by this time. It was, Jaiswal just looked so good. He looked like he was that player that we saw in Perth in the second innings when he was just the match winner, basically, with that brilliant effort. Coley having someone making runs, sort of similar to Steve Smith coming in here a couple of days ago when he came in. Smith comes in at 2 for 150 for the first time of the series and just looked a different player. Looked fantastic. Coley, a bit more protection there. And he looked like someone else was taking the pressure. He was looking good. He was more disciplined. He wasn't playing that shot outside the 5th, 6th, and 7th sort of stump line that's been his downfall until that moment. Now, there has been a lot of debate. Risky single, absolutely. You look at Jaiswal, he was a couple of strides into it. So he was running to probably the non-striker's end and the dangerous end, and I guess it's his call. But I mean, you look at it, and it was a highly risky run. If it's a direct hit, Coley is out. It wasn't a direct hit. That's the one thing. So, so I guess it's a gamble either way. And is it a gamble they needed to take at that stage? No, I don't think it was a gamble that Jaiswal should have taken at that stage, but it was his call.
I was going to say, and did the game let itself down with Coley when he morphed into Glenn Archer walking past Wayne Carey when North Melbourne played Adelaide?
I was saying it's nothing that we haven't seen before at well, maybe at the MCG, that was at the Adelaide Oval, wasn't it? But or at Amy Park, more to the point, back in the day. But nothing we haven't seen before at the MCG. It should have been a sterner punishment, I guess, by the rules. You look at the rules and you go, well, it doesn't look good, but the rule book does give them that out. And I reckon the officials will always take that out when that's the case. What I didn't like, and I know it's all part of the theatre, but I've never been a big fan of people booing, prolonged booing, and I hate seeing champions booed. Now, did he do the wrong thing? Yep. But I thought the exit yesterday where he was really, really badly booed. Clearly he's on edge. I'm not one for seeing good players booed. It just never sat comfortably with me. I think they're the ones out in the arena. I know it's each to your own, but I'm not a big fan of booing, so I didn't necessarily like that. But he does know how to fire up the crowd, no doubt, as does Constas. It was a circus act in the field. I've never seen anything like it, truth be told, with the way he was, running around. It's a fascinating sort of character, a new opener.
Is he ever? A breath of fresh air, and let's see what he can do in this second innings coming up very soon. A word on the century, 114 from Natish.
Very, 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 very polished. We saw in Perth, and then again in Adelaide. Like in Perth, he was very, very good down the order in that first innings, where the Aussie bowlers were very well and truly on top. In Adelaide, the back-to-back 42s looked really polished there, and you sort of thought it's probably only a matter of time before he goes onto it, because it doesn't look to be too much wrong with his game. He's similar to Constance. He's capable of the unconventional. He's not afraid to have a crack. I think we've seen a star born in this series. The medium paces were probably stand out a little bit here, but so were a lot of the other bowlers. He looked okay with the ball in the other three tests. And just having a chat to, I suppose, a veteran Indian broadcaster, Harsha Bogle, yesterday about him. And he was saying, absolutely see him batting at 6. I'm looking at him going, God, I can see him batting at 4 the way he was playing yesterday. He does look like he's got a very, very good head on his shoulders for 21. It's interesting they're two centurions, Jaiswal and Reddy at 21 and 22. Coley obviously made that 100 in Perth at the tail end, but the young guys coming through. Well, Sharma's clearly right at the end. Ashwin's departed. Coley, question marks. Well, I don't think we'll see him here in Australia again after this tour. There's no doubt they've got young talent coming through, so I don't see them going anywhere necessarily as a power in cricket on the field, and clearly they are a very big power off the field.
The rumour's been abound that a few of them might be hanging up the boots at the end. Can I just switch code just quickly for the tennis? We've got a little bit more detail now about Max Purcell. So is he hard done by when you see the rules, as you say, technically? What's going on? He's obviously appeared ill in a Bali hospital and got a overserve of what he should have.
Wouldn't be the first person to fall Bali, I wouldn't have thought, Brad.
No.
And you can certainly see, how a medical clinic could get it wrong, even with his insistence that he's a professional athlete. I think he's very stiff. It was one that just really raised my eyebrows, because as soon as you saw the phrase and the release that came through very late one night, prohibited method as opposed to prohibited substance, you think, well, what is it? Has he tampered with, has he tampered with a sample when he's gone to the bathroom, or if something happened there? Then you see what has come out, and I do think he's stiff. But I also will make the point that, he's, it's a provisional suspension. Trying to get the tennis authority to do a lot around a festive period is asking quite a bit. We're into Christmas, into New Year's. It's significant ramifications for his singles ranking, because at 105, it's a problem if he's out for a couple of months, because it starts to go the other way. He's such an outstanding doubles player. He's going to have to start making choices where he plays doubles instead of singles if he's out for a while, which is, it's a really big moment in his career for a couple of factors. I would hope, I don't think we'll see him back through the Australian summer, but I would hope that common sense prevails, and that if it is a ban, it's a ban of a couple of months at most. I just can't see it based on what we know. And we are taking, the word of the player, and also it is a medical facility that's provided the information from Bali.
Yep.
What we've sort of seen, you'd hate to see it. The one wrinkle in it is that, of course, IV drips can be used to mask other substances, but on a flush system. But I just don't see it with Purcell. Having watched a lot of him over the last few years, he's a very, very, very good player. But he's not someone that's running through walls and deep in the fourth set or deep in the fifth set.
Mm-hmm.
He's someone who can get rolled more often. When we see some players running, finishing better than ever before when they look like they're gone, he's not one of those guys.
Staying with tennis, United Cup underway.
United Cup is underway. You see Alexander Zverev in Perth tonight, the top German, who probably the best player to not have a Grand Slam title to his name. He was very, very good last year. The Australians were beaten last night in Sydney. Diminor, I thought, was very good against Echeverry, who is a very talented Argentinian. I saw Echeverry spank him in Paris a couple of years ago on clay, admittedly, but Diminor is now a quarterfinalist at Grand Slam level on clay. So I think that was a really encouraging start. We saw him so troubled with that injury for the last sort of half of the year. Missed several key events, looked hindered and sore in others, but it does look like he's over that touch wood anyway. He picked up about 1.2, 1.3 million for winning an exhibition sort of tournament in London a couple of weeks ago, which is not bad pay for a sort of like a slap and dash sort of style tennis. But he looked in good form, and I think that was a good win last night. That they're beaten is no surprise. Our depth in women, I think Gadeki's had a lot of talent, and I think she's someone who we certainly will look for in coming years, but we just haven't got the depth at the moment in women's tennis. And look, mixed doubles, we still had a really good pair. Matt Ebden, clearly an outstanding player, an Olympic gold medalist, Grand Slam winner, world number one. Alan Perez, a top 10 player in doubles. But sometimes when you go up against a very good singles player like Echeverry, that result will unfold. So Australia in big pressure. They need to beat Great Britain in a couple of days to progress.
And Courtney, as we let you go, we really appreciate your time and get back to the cricket. But just on the Sydney to Hobart yacht race, were you surprised that the race wasn't called off with the two deaths?
It was really interesting. I guess we had that tragedy, what was it, 1999?
Yes.
Where so many people died. And clearly you're very, very dark days. With the weather in Melbourne, you would have been aware, Brad, was horrific on that first day on Boxing Day with the winds, and clearly it was all the way up the eastern coast. Look, maybe not. I mean, they were so, the lines honours, they were so far down the course that perhaps they thought we'd just get it done. I note that the winners, the name has just eluded me at the moment, but they put their celebrations on hold. There was no way they were celebrating given what had unfolded with the the tragedy of a man from Perth and a sailor from Perth and a sailor from South Australia, unfortunately losing their lives in that race. It's a tough one, and I guess maybe they didn't necessarily know the full extent. Brad, I don't know. It's middle of the night. Hard call for mine. What would you have made of that?
Yeah, well, they were asking. It was quite remarkable because some of the boats were asking for not treacherous conditions, but certainly to make it tough because they thought they wouldn't get Comanche. If Comanche got the right thing, but I suppose you can't factor in booms flying around like they were, and that's obviously caused a couple of deaths and one guy going overboard as well. So it's an interesting one for me, but it's just not the. I was torn. I could easily see why they were trying to marry it up and finish the race, but at the same time I could hear the claims of other people that surely when you suffer a couple of deaths that the race should be halted.
Law Connect was that winner.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right.
Right,
and I saw the comments, obviously, just such a, it must be such a horrible feeling because they're there, but there for the grace of God goes, the sailors on that boat. You just don't know in accidents. You do wonder, given we knew what the forecast was, obviously, on Boxing Day, dear delay it. I know you're very keen. It's an iconic start, that race out of Sydney Harbour. It's amazing sort of footage, but does that footage change the day after? I don't think it changes. The harbour's still there. It's still beautiful scenes. And if you know the weather's so treacherous, maybe you look at delaying.
Yeah.
They do it in surfing all the time.
Yep.
It just looked horrible sort of conditions. So,
Courtney, always good to catch up.
I can report just as we talk that we're going to see no difference from Sam Thompson
exactly.
so far. He's taking it to Jasper Fulmer in the first over.
He's not going to make a duck on debut. He's already two, but he's down the pitch and swinging wildly. So always good to chat. We'll listen in during the week on the Sports Daily. Thanks for that.
Pleasure, gentlemen. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday.
Yeah, and have a happy new year. There he is, Courtney Walsh. He's a ripper, covers all the sports for us. Welcome back. 24 minutes away from 8 o'clock. Marty Young and Brad Hardie with you on the aftermath. After 8 o'clock, we've got Racing Rewind, Lockie and Michael, special guest Stephen Parnham. And our man from Boulder has requested your Sunday Saviour again, Brad.
Oh, yes. I wrote these down very early, so the prices may or may not have changed due to scratching. Port Macquarie Race 2, number 9, Rock Barton Flash. It'll break its maiden today, $1.70. And up to the Sunny Coast, race 4, number 2, Avidius, down in class at $3.30. And race 6, about to explode, number 2, $2.30. So $1.70, Rock Barton Flash at Port Macquarie, race 2. Avidius, race 4 at the Sunny Coast, $3.30. And about to explode, race 6 at the Sunny Coast, $2.30. $12.90 there, Marty.
Jeez,
very confident today.
I've got an issue.
There's a wicket.
I've got a... Eh? No, there's not. I've got an issue apology. It was Richard from Kalgoorlie, who's definitely not from Boulder. So before you send one in to me, Richard, apologise. I just lost my mind there for a bit.
Well, that's like coming from East or South Fremantle
exactly,
up there.
Brad. It's probably worse.
Hey?
Never.
I was born in the Moss Street Ferries area, but that was the only hospital allowed in those days. Anyway, that's all right.
Let's have a look at the multi from Simon Hill. We had a texter from Linda wanting the Simon Hill multi. So it's going to go like this.
Linda.
There's one game in the A-League. Okay. Today, $1.78 Western United. He went a bank of the draw Everton game at $2.95. So Everton game there, $2.95. Crystal Palace to win $1.60. The Fulham match over 2.5 goals at $1.68. And then Liverpool to win $1.34. That comes to $18.91. I'll send that out on socials, punters. Okay, got another text in about the Perth Cup and 38 degrees forecast on Wednesday. So we'll talk to Lockie about that. He'd be across that. He's front and square these days. Not much happens in racing without Lockie's imprimatur over the top of it. And he'll be in after 8 o'clock. Chris Pike joins us, the NBL guru, and also NBA as well. G'day, Chris.
Yeah, good morning, Good morning, guys. Hope you had a great Christmas.
Yeah, we certainly did. And we're looking forward to a big 2025 with you. Let's start off with the Wildcats away. They're going good, this little road trip away, 116 beating Adelaide 92.
Yeah, well, last night was good. A few days earlier in Wollongong wasn't quite.
Well, that was the Hawks,
quite
mate.
As good.
The all-conquering Hawks.
It was.
They've got the Wildcats measure.
Right. Well, they've got everyone's measure right now. They're clearly the best team in the competition. But that was a good win last night. I think Adelaide will end up being the story out of the game, but all Perth could do was worry about who they were playing, and they were able to make Adelaide look very ordinary from the start. So it was a good win. A 24-point win to bounce back from that 32-point loss to the Hawks was the perfect response. So it's always a tricky period. They've got their 7 straight games on the road, but they've done well to now navigate last night, especially considering they're still without Christian Doolittle. So it was a good performance. They didn't need Bryce Cotton to go nuts, and Adelaide focused their defence completely on Bryce to try to deny him getting too many shots off. So he only attempted 10 shots for the game, but what he did do was turned into a facilitator. So he had 12 assists for the game, and Dylan Windler caught fire, and he had 6 three-pointers by pretty early in the third quarter, I think it was, and Keanu Pinder had his best game in a while. So it was a really good performance. I mean, they dominated the 36ers, and to be 11-9 at this point, when they've been pretty up and down throughout the season, I think they're well placed to at least make a run to be one of the top 4 teams.
Chris, compliments of the season to you. Just before we get into the other games that have been played this weekend and looking forward, Parker Jackson Cartwright, he copped a nice little whack for running into the ref.
Yeah, he did. He's the best player for the New Zealand Breakers, and they just can't take a trick. So they've lost 8 games in a row now since they decided to bring in Taco Fall, and it's only going to get worse for them now. So he's out for the next 5 games, and he just lost his mind, unfortunately, on Christmas Day late in that game. He took a bit of a shove from Ruben Tarangi from the Jack Jumpers, and then he just saw red. I mean, he charged back at Tarangi, and Michael Aylan, the first referee, got in his way, and he shoved him out of the way. A second referee came to grab him to try to calm him down, and he pushed him off as well. And you know, we see it in any sport. You just can't touch the officials. And in the end, he cops his 5-game whack, and it's unfortunate for him. It takes him out of any chance of being an MVP candidate, which he was up until, Bryce Cotton started to take over the league, and it ends any chance the Breakers have of also turning their season around. They've lost those 8 straight games. They went from 7-3 to now being 7-11, and I think they'll be the team that helps Cairns end their winning streak on New Year's Eve as well. So yeah, it's unfortunate, but I think the league had to make a stand. You can't have players pushing off referees like that and shoving them to the ground. Mm-hmm. So it's unfortunate, but I think he had to cop some sort of a suspension, and I feel like 5 games is probably pretty fair.
Okay, so can we go back to the 36ers? They were getting their season on track. Everything was going well, and then they had the suspension to Harrell and the other player. Yeah. And since then they haven't... Davis. Yes, Davis, their 2 best players. They haven't been able to get their season back on track. What has happened?
No, they sure haven't got it back on track. So they lost that game in Melbourne. They lost 3 straight after that. They've now lost 3 straight. So they've lost 6 of 7 since that, and they're a team that's now in complete free fall, and they're playing like they don't care. They're playing with absolutely no passion at all, and it all starts with Montrezl Harrell. He's gone from being a guy that was unstoppable there for a little while to a guy that has come back from his suspension, and he's playing like he doesn't want to be here. Okay. I mean, he didn't even start last night. He came off the bench, and to be honest, it looked like he was sulking pre-game. It looked like he was sulking during the game. It looked like he was sulking every time he came back to the bench. He wouldn't sit with his teammates during the huddle. He wouldn't join in on the timeouts. And the team as a whole is now playing with no spirit at all. They got their captain back, DJ Vasiljevic, last night, but he scores 23 points, and the whole team still loses by 24. So it makes no difference. I think they're on the verge of sacking another coach. I mean, it's an absolute crazy thing that's happening in Adelaide. They are going through coaches like anything right now, and they made the big call in pre-season to sack Scott Ninnis after he did a great job late last season to look like he got the team back on track. He was in charge for the pre-season. All of a sudden, management felt like they didn't like what he was doing. They sacked him. They bring in Mike Wells, who's never before he coached a game this season, he had never been to an NBL game in his life. He had never seen a game in Australia. All of a sudden, he takes over the team, and it's not working. I think he's on the verge of becoming the next coach to be sacked. They play again tomorrow night. It's a very short turnaround. They go into Sydney tomorrow night, and they've lost these last 3 games by an average of 23 points. I think if it's another poor performance tomorrow night, and I think come Tuesday morning, I think they'll be having a new coach all over again. So
wow.
Their season's over. They won't turn their season around. Yeah, they won't turn their season around from 7 and 11. And I think, come tomorrow night, it could be the last game in charge for Mike Wells as well.
Just before you go in to look at the games upcoming, let's quickly go back. You mentioned the Hawks in a segue a little while ago. They're going well against the Bullets, and Melbourne United too good for the Taipans.
Yeah, the Hawks are playing on a different level to everybody else right now. So offensively, they're outstanding. So I think it's 7 games in a row where they're putting up more than 100 points a game. But they're also doing a great job defensively. Yep. So that was a Bullets team that they played back on Friday night who had been scoring 111 points themselves. But they completely shut them down after quarter time and held them to 50 points in the last 3 quarters. And, they're just playing on a different level. They've got so many weapons. Tyler Harvey and Trey Cowell is clearly the best backcourt combination in the league. They've got Sam Froling, who's now turning into the player that everybody hoped that he would. Darius Days is chipping in. Wani Swakalovaluk, I think, is by far the best defender in the league right now, and he's doing some terrific jobs, and he did a great job last week on Bryce Cotton as well to keep him scoreless for 3 quarters. So, the Hawks are the standout team. They're clear on top of the ladder now. They've got 3 less losses than everybody else, so it's sort of their top spot to lose for the rest of the season. And Melbourne got the win they needed. They'd lost 4 in a row. It was a bit of a slump for them, but it was a pretty ugly game on Boxing Day in Cairns. But all they needed to do was to snap that losing run, and they managed to get a win. And they're now 2 games clear in second spot. So despite losing those 4 straight, they've still set their season up pretty nicely.
I guess the story of December's been, obviously apart from the Hawks continuing to win, is the Jack Jumpers, because they were in all sorts of trouble as well, and then they've turned their form around, and they're playing the Bullets. This should be a good game today.
Yeah, absolutely will. I mean, the Jack Jumpers very quietly, they've all of a sudden won 7 in a row. So, I mean, they've done a great job, and they're doing it without Will Magnay now also. So they've won their last 2 games, despite probably who's their most influential player at least. He's a pretty powerful figure. So they've won those last 2 games without him. Fascinating game. Interesting game for the Bullets. So they were disappointing against the Hawks on Friday, but before that they'd been playing great. They continue to cop some injuries, but they look like they've already found a replacement for James Bateman, who we saw score those 51 points against the Wildcats about a month ago. But it looks like they'll be bringing in Josh Adams, who was part of the grand final team for the Jack Jumpers going back to 2022. It looks like he'll be the replacement. He won't be quite in time for today, but after today, he'll be the replacement for him, and he's an absolute lethal shooter. So the Bullets will get better after that. So I think this is a fascinating game. Clash in styles. The Bullets will be trying to score 100-plus points. The Jack Jumpers will be trying to keep it under 80 points. But I think the Jack Jumpers will keep winning. They're just finding ways to win right now. We saw them do it all the way to a championship last year, and I think they'll get another win at home, especially with the Bullets having only played on Friday night and then spending yesterday travelling down to Hobart.
Yep. So Jack Jumpers to win at $1.45. We've got a double header on Tuesday. Hawks and South East Melbourne, they're $1.27. The Hawkies, Melbourne are $3.75. South East Melbourne, and then the later game, as you mentioned it, the battle of the bottom dwellers. Taipans and Breakers are $1.35. Cairns and the Breakers are $3.20.
Complete contrasting games, aren't they? The first one is an absolute cracker. The Hawks and the Phoenix. The Phoenix are the last team to beat the Hawks, so this will be a good game. The Phoenix will be fresh as well. They haven't played for a little while since winning the throwdown, so that they were playing good form before they had a bit of a break before this game to freshen up. But the Hawks are back at home. They haven't played at home for a little while as well, so they'll be pretty excited to get at home. They'll have an absolute jam-packed building there in Wollongong on New Year's Eve as well. So this is their first home game since sort of bit before Christmas, and they've only played 2 games since the end of November, so they'll be pretty excited to get back home. And this will be a good game. Both teams will score 100-plus points, but I think the Hawks, you can't look past them right now. And I think purely based on the fact that the Breakers just are missing their best player now with Parker Jackson Cartwright out injured. Things have gone completely south since they brought in Taco Fall. So I think the Taipans will find a way to get a win. They'll snap their 14-game winning streak and finally get a win on the board on to close out 2024.
Well done, Pikey. We'll talk in 2025 on Wednesday's drive. Looking forward to that.
I look forward to it, guys. Happy New Year.
All the best. Happy New
Thanks,
Year
Chris.
to you. Chris Pike, NBL, NBA expert, and he's one of our regulars here on the Aftermath and also on Drive. So what's happening in the cricket, Brad? You're keeping one eye on it? None for 11 Australia?
Yeah. Unfortunately for India, Kawaj was dropped by Jaiswal when he was on 2. Hasn't advanced too much further. A little bit of an arm problem for Constance. The medicos came out and strapped his forearm, and again he nicked one out to second slip, but just didn't quite carry. So Bumrah's causing them all sorts of trouble. He is beating the bat of Khawaja constantly at the moment. He's bowling in his third over with none for 3. Constance is on 3. Khawaja is on 6, Marty, and they're none for 11.
Ever thought of taking up cricket commentary as maybe another string to the bow, Brad? You're very good at it.
Well, no, I just left that to Graham Smokey Dawson, the World Sports Desk. He taught me everything I know, Marty, so he's a beauty smokester. He sends his regard, by the way.
Yeah, good, and a happy new year to him as well. Let's take a break, come back. We're talking greyhound chasing with Graham Crudeli next.
And racing. Toward the inside, Argyle Queen was away well ahead of Chloe Ant, followed next on the inside by Ballistic Ant. Moving up in the centre is Girl Hill, and out further Miss Ronnie Mack. Deeper on the track, Sunset Comanche. 90 Mile Rose, and the last one is Sage to Kneel into the back straight, about 9 or 10 off the lead. It's Argyle Queen in front, but Chloe Ant's in close proximity, trying to rail through on the inside. Shortly after, got the head in front. Then Ballistic Ant, followed on the outside by Sunset Comanche, and then Girl Hill, and at the head of the others is Miss Ronnie Mack. Chloe Ant got to the lead into the straight, came clear of Argyle Queen, and it's all Chloe Ant coming away to beat Argyle Queen. Sunset Comanche third, then came Ballistic Ant.
Hey, Brad, the further they went, the further Chloe Ant was running into that race. Graham Crudeli joins us to talk about it. Good morning, Graham.
And good morning, boys.
Yeah, good strong win. Love the distance.
Graham.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, no, it was a huge run. I was a little bit worried with Argyle Queen drawing the red and coming back from a bit of a break with the early speed, but no, she's chasing well, and once she got underneath, she's just found a new lease of life in the last 6 months for this girl. She's a bit older now, and she's running in peak form.
Yep. Well done, Graham. Congratulations. But you're right. Watching the head-on from the start, I mean, Argyle Queen jumped cleanly, but jumped left, and Chloe wanted to go straight. And then all of a sudden, Argyle, he lost the radar. And all of a sudden it was coming out on you. I thought, they're going to be tangled up here. But that was the pretty much it after that. He just railed through beautifully.
Yeah, I was really worried at that first corner because Argyle, I think it was his first start over the 52, and just getting through that first corner. I didn't mind Argyle leading that. I just didn't want them to be on that first corner together. And once she got through to second, she just needed a little bit of room on the rail, and she's been beating them week in, week out, and coming from behind or leading, and just needed that little bit of luck and on the rail, and she's chasing, just did everything right and got the big one.
Yeah, won the Christmas gift with that win. 7 from 10 of its last 10 starts. Why this purple patch of form?
I'm not really sure.
Probably 8 of 12.
Yeah, it's probably more. Yeah, she's she was going good at Cannington. I think she won the Miata before the Cannington closed down. Then she got a little niggly injury, and we brought her down to a little bit of a break and brought her down to Mandurah. And I think she's just got the confidence now. She's racing the same dogs, and she's got early speed. And once they get a little bit of confidence in them, and she's just not letting anyone beat them. She's only a little girl, and back in the day, she used to be a front runner and used to get tired, and now just the strength's come, and she can come from behind, or if she leads, good luck running her down. So you can't fault her.
What's the program look like for her going forward from here?
Cannington starts back up in a couple of weeks, so she'll probably have one more run at Mandurah, and then we'll step her back to the 600 journey. The summer chase is coming up, so she'll go in the heats there, and we're trying to look. She's coming on 4 in February, so there's not a lot of runs left in her, but if we can try and... She's made the Group 1 Galaxy the last 2 years, so if everything goes right, and I'm hoping to, we're trying to plan to try and get that third Galaxy in, and hopefully try and pinch it. She led all the way this year and just got pipped at the end with the Galaxy running third. So hopefully she can get through and, get into that Group 1 and hopefully get the cash.
Okay, Ballistic Ant, $91, ran a big race into fourth.
Yeah, I always thought she was a chance. She's just getting a bit unlucky with box draws and trying to get down to the fence. And I actually thought she would have got third in that race, but yeah, Comanche from the 8 ran a blinder and got past her. But she's not up as good as the big boys. But look, she's not far off, and she won the National Distance Championship. So sister to Chloe Ant, and just been a great litter. Can't fault the whole litter. The whole litter's been great, and it's been they're coming up to 4 in February, and it's a nice ride.
Sounds like a brand name there, Graham. How many ants have you got?
Their mum was Bionic Black Ant, and the old boy likes to name a few of the dogs and that. Yeah. It starts with the ants, and I think there's only 3 or 4 there. But yeah, I think it'll be kicking on. I think because it'll definitely be breeding with these girls. They'll be in the breeding barn going next year, and hopefully a few more champions coming through.
Okay, Graham. What about a winner coming up for the week? Start the new year off with a winner somewhere.
Mate, the winner is I've got the whole week off, so I'm not racing again Friday. So the winner is I'm having a beer and I'll be in the swimming pool during the week.
Half your luck. Some nice warm weather coming up as well. Good night for Damien there last night as well with a double.
Yes. Got the last race as well, so got a city winner and beat me with one of them, so he's not that good for me anyway. But he's going well at the moment. We've got a few pups coming through and pinched the last race 13 last night.
Yes.
Bit of a late one, and we're up again this morning, and I think we were 40 to trial this morning, so we're back at the track right now actually, and dogs, and it's all go, but yeah, family's there and we all love it.
So where are they trialling this morning?
Back at Mandurah.
Back
again.
at Mandurah,
So,
okay.
Yeah, Cannington's closed down for a couple of weeks, so they put a Sunday session in for us, so yeah, we're up and bit of family bonding, I'd call it.
All right. Well, you enjoy it. Have a great 2025. Thanks for coming on the show, Graham.
No, thank you, boys. Good luck.
There he is.
Bumrah's just ripped through Constas. Beautiful. He was certainly putting me under a little bit of pressure, and the young man just played all round one. And as I say, it wasn't going to be long. It just got him flush, unfortunately. Yeah, it was like the old Bart Cummings, and when the inspector came in and said you got too many flies, and Bart said, how many am I allowed to have?
Exactly. Counting down to the news at 8 o'clock, and we need your Sunday saviour again, Brad.
Race 2, Port Macquarie, Rock Barton Flash, $1.70, put in, take out. Sunny Coast, race 4, number 2, Avidius down in grade, $3.30. Race 6, number 2, about to explode, Marty, $2.30, $12.90 there for me and Ginger. Happy New Year to you, Happy New Year to Sophie, and Happy New Year to everybody. What a great year we've had for Aftermath.
Yeah, thank you very much, Brad. I really enjoy working with you and with David every Sunday morning, and looking forward to it in 2025. Have a great day, and we're off to the news.